Hi, everyone. We are so excited that today we are joined by Jennifer Baez, a trauma-informed somatic coach, yoga teacher, mindfulness educator, and sound healer. Jennifer has been leading powerful, flawless workshops at NAMI, creating spaces for healing, self-reflection, and growth. At these workshops, Jennifer guides participants through practical somatic tools to regulate the nervous system, including shaking and swiping, eye exercises, various breath work exercises, tapping, self-holding, yoga, and using the voice for somatic regulation. Through these practices, she helps others reconnect with their bodies and cultivate inner calm. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us for this flawless talk today.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here with you.
We appreciate it. So, here at Flawless, we like to start our interviews by asking people how they are really doing. So, we take this as an opportunity to dig a little deeper and express our true feelings. So, Jennifer, how are you really doing today?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. I feel that I'm doing really well. I feel that I had some challenges come up over the end of the summer, and it was an opportunity to really put into practice all the tools that I've learned and that I teach and share with others. And just getting to see how doing the work really works. I'm on the other side of those challenges and just feeling really focused about everything that's coming. I'm in the middle of planning my next retreat to Nicaragua, my yoga retreat. So just very excited about all of that and feeling great, just grounded and excitement, joy. Yeah. How are you today?
Oh, thank you for asking. That's so awesome. That self-reflection, it sounds like great. I'm doing also well. I started a new chapter in my life with law school, and I must admit it's very busy, it's very demanding, but I have been feeling a lot of gratitude for being in this like time of my life, something I've wanted for so long.
Great. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I will dig into learning more about you. Would you please share with us the nature of your work, specifically what inspired you to combine somatic coaching, yoga, mindfulness, and sound healing in your work?
So I have been always kind of drawn to learning about myself, to going within. It's always like a spiritual seeker, a seeker of wisdom. And I became a mom very young, a teen mom, and it was a very challenging experience and time for me in which I didn't have enough support. And so I was going through a lot of fatigue, burnout, and just high stress, not being able to manage the overwhelm that I was experiencing. And that led me to yoga. And then from there, I started going into meditation, then learning about energy work, sound healing, somatic coaching. So one thing just led to the other. And it was a combination of wanting to heal myself and grow as a person, but also I am just also very passionate about education. So as I was learning these things, I felt this desire to share them with others. And just one thing, one foot in front of the other, things start to unfold as you start to kind of show up for your passions.
That's so beautiful. I'm so glad to learn about that evolution. It's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Our next question here is, how do you approach helping participants, regulate their nervous system during your NAMI workshop? So those are very special to us here at Flawless, so we want to learn a little more about that.
Yes, these workshops are incredibly rewarding for me. I typically start with a little bit of education. So we might speak about the stress cycle. We might speak about the nervous system. We might speak about somatic embodiment. So they start to, I share different terms, trauma informed terms, so they can understand kind of the language. And the practices, they vary, but there's typically going to be some sort of somatic embodiment regulation strategy that's woven into the experience. A lot of the times we'll do some chair yoga. Usually there's movement, breath, and sound involved in many different ways.
That's amazing. And within these workshops, have you ever experienced a moment where the profound impact of somatic healing has been very impactful, noticeable? If so, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, every time I do these workshops, like I said, I just walk away with my cup so filled from seeing the shifts that happen in the group, individually and within the group. So a lot of the times people come in feeling overwhelmed by whatever situation that they're navigating, and I can track in their nervous systems that there's a lot of activation, a lot of stress activation, and that sometimes there's a shutdown. The nervous system is kind of in that freeze state, what's known as a dorsal state. And throughout the practice, throughout the experience, little by little, as they start to move, as they start to use the strategies, I can sense that that energy that's kind of stuck in there starts to discharge, and their aliveness starts to return. Then even their posture changes. There's like an opening of the chest, they're standing a little taller, and there's a smile, a soft smile that you can perceive in their faces. And then a lot of the times I will sense that they're connecting to something higher within themselves. So it's been incredibly rewarding to witness.
That sounds amazing. I'm sure it's beautiful to physically see the impact of your work reflected in others. That's awesome.
Thank you.
We also wanted to know for someone new to somatic practices, what are some simple techniques or exercises they can start using immediately to manage stress and anxiety?
Yes, thank you for asking. There are so many tools, and everyone's body is different. Everyone's story is different. The way they hold tension and stress is different. And so I like to share all these different tools, but I also remind everyone that what works for me isn't going to necessarily work for you. And that's okay. So it's a matter of trying things and then seeing what is it that's actually helping you to regulate. But as I mentioned earlier, breath, sound, and movement. Those are the three main things, that the main gateways into regulation, into changing the state of the nervous system, right? So something that's very simple that I like to do pretty much with private clients, with groups, is just to begin with some orienting. So just orienting to the space, because when we have what we call activation, which is just this rise of stressful energy that's preparing you to take action in some way, fight or flight, when that starts to rise, when we sense some sort of danger and our nervous system senses some sort of danger, a lot of the times the eyes can get very fixed because they're kind of like just waiting to find what's not safe, right? So they're kind of fixed. So if you start to just orient to your space and just slowly move the eyes around this space and really take in where you are, that can start to kind of soften the eyes. And then I invite them to gaze towards the horizon. And if you're in a room somewhere, you can imagine a horizon. It's kind of like a zooming out. And in doing that, again, there's this softening that happens in the eyes, and that allows you to kind of come back to your body a little bit more. And so I'll have them turn their head side to side. And very slowly, the head and neck are going to follow the eyes to look up, to look down. And part of the reason is that the phrenic nerve innervates a diaphragm, and it originates in the cervical spine, so around C3, C4, and C5. And as you turn the head, you stimulate that phrenic nerve, and that in turn causes the diaphragm to descend and the breath to return. So a lot of the times, just simply orienting in that way can help you just realize, oh, I was holding my breath and now it's just come back, right? So very simple strategies that maybe we have stopped doing without realizing because we are stuck in those trauma states. We're just going from place to place, from next thing to next thing, without really orienting. And just that orienting can help to shift the energy and to help to remind you, oh, I'm safe and I can be in my body. So that's one of the things that I really like to do. And then as far as movement, the simplest thing that you can do is shake.
Hmm.
And you can put a song on that you like, for 2 to 3 minutes, shake without stopping, just shake, standing up, sitting down, just shake your whole body and let go into it. We naturally, mammals naturally have this response when there's high activation and there's something that's very traumatizing happening. If they manage to escape it, usually the body will shake involuntarily, and it's just shaking off and discharging that excess energy so that it doesn't stay in the nervous system. And so part of the reason why we get traumatized is because we didn't get that opportunity to feel safe and to shake, right? And so just a reminder that movement is something that's going to separate the traumatized from the non-traumatized. So you can start to shake and remind your body that it's okay to move and that you can just discharge excess energy in that way. So that's that. So then we've got the orienting, the movement. As far as breath, there's a breath that I like very much because it's one of the research shows that it's one of the most effective ways to switch into parasympathetic mode, which is your rest and digest. So we've got sympathetic, which is fight or flight or freeze, and we've got the parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. And so the physiological sigh, it consists of a double inhale through the nose, and then a long, slow exhale out the mouth as if you're blowing through a straw. And so I'll just demonstrate. So the first inhale is just a full inhale, and there's a short pause, very short pause. Then there's going to be a quick sniff in through the nose again, and then you're going to blow it out slow through the mouth. And you can do that 3 times. So it'll look like this. So just doing that 3 times. And think of like when you're really like upset and crying, the body will naturally do this sometimes. Sometimes you'll go, right? That's
Right.
kind of the body's intelligence doing what it needs to do to regulate. And so our bodies, they're wise, they're intelligent, and they know. But what happens is a lot of times we've been stuck in situations and environments where we had to stop these impulses and these responses for whatever reason. Maybe it wasn't safe. Maybe we had to be professional. And so we truncate these responses. And it's kind of like now you have to remind the body that it's okay to do this. And the body will start to slowly remember. Yeah.
Wow, that is so fascinating, and I learned so much from what you're sharing. It's incredible that all of the practices you're sharing are so accessible, if not through movement, then through breath work. Everyone can really take a part in just like regulating themselves and being able to do these simple practices intentionally, I'm sure have like such an amazing impact overall.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
We would also, we feel like, you practice what you preach. So something we really take seriously at Flawless is self-care. We wanted to learn some of the ways that you practice self-care.
So self-care, I one of my little like my taglines for my business is self-care and self-compassion equals self-transformation.
Mhm.
So I believe it's just a lot of little moments throughout the day, right? And it's this constant just checking in, how am I doing? And then being able to meet yourself with however it is that that part of you in that moment needs, right? And in the morning, as soon as I wake up, I put a hand under my heart, a hand on my belly. I take a moment of gratitude. I take a moment to connect with affirmations that will help me set the tone for what I want to experience in my day. Kind of some self-love, maybe some self-holding, which is also very regulating for the nervous system. And throughout the day, I will have, like I said, a lot of different check-ins. So if I notice that I'm just starting to move really fast, it's an indication my nervous system is activated. Maybe I'm in flight. And so I will be able to meet that. How can I meet that in that moment? Maybe I can go for a walk, right? I can do some of the orienting. I can grab from my toolbox. I have lots of different breath practices. Another one is just making your exhale longer than the inhale. That'll also
Mm.
get you into the parasympathetic nervous system state. So I can inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 6 or 8. and I tend to do 5 to 10 rounds of that just to, be able to have that effect in the body. So it's a constant meeting myself where I'm at. And sometimes it's just as simple as like, wow, I really need to drink water instead of checking 10 more emails, right? So that's
Mm.
what I consider to be self-care, is just constantly checking in with me and remembering that I'm in a relationship with me and it's my job to take care of me.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way of approaching self-care practices. We also wanted to know, how do you see somatic work contributing to long-term healing and resilience in people who have experienced trauma?
Mm, that's a great question. So we know that talk therapy is not enough, right? A lot of the research sometimes shows too that just talk therapy alone can sometimes even re-traumatize you. It keeps you kind of stuck replaying that trauma over and over. And so these somatic therapies, they're kind of blowing up right now because we have access to so much information now that before we just didn't. And what we're really starting to see and to understand is that trauma lives in the body, right? And so these different strategies, they help us to access the stored energy, and they give us strategies to discharge it. And so when you actually do that, then you can have that kind of healing, that integration, coming back to wholeness, right? That we're kind of hoping for, but that doesn't always happen when we're just doing talk therapy, because again, it's stored in the tissues. This is
Mm.
physiological, and we have to understand how the body works, how the nervous system works, the brain, and how the physiology influences the mind. Um, because we know the mind influences the body, but sometimes we forget also that the physiology, if there's constriction in cranial nerves, that can cause states of depression, of high anxiety, panic attacks. And so addressing the physiology is finally getting the attention that it really deserves. Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And if someone is just tuning in or starting their healing journey, what's one message or reminder you would like to leave them with?
Mm. So the message that I would say is that you've got this, that healing is possible, and that it does get better. And like I said before, it's we come to this realization that it's really us that needs to take care of us. And you know, there's so many resources in the community, like Flawless, programs like these. And so it's a matter of us using the tools again and again and again, but to keep going, to not give up.
Absolutely. That's very motivating and very powerful. And as we begin to wrap up, we always like to finish our conversations with a note of hope by pointing to our vision of a flawless world. So, a world without barriers, full of opportunities, equality, equity. What does a flawless world look like to you? And in addition to that, what gives you hope that right now that we're moving towards that?
Yeah, a flawless world is, to me, is a world in which all of our capacities, abilities, all of our strengths, all of our differences are accepted, celebrated, that, you know, professional spaces, workspaces that they create, environments that support all of these differences and capacities, that our communities are environments where we also have support and we are also celebrated for being who and how we are. A flawless world is a world in which it's not just self care, but community care, right? We take care of each other. We really take care of each other.
That's great. That really resonates with me in building and caring for a community. Thank you so much for all of the incredible insight you have shared today, and for teaching us such easy techniques that allow us to approach our own healing and caring for ourselves. Before we finish up, are there any special projects or anything you're excited to share with us? In addition to that, if there's anywhere where we can follow along with you, please let us know.
Yes, thank you so much for asking. So you can find more information about what I do on my website, jenniferbaez.com. So I'm a somatic coach, as you said. I use energy healing techniques, yoga, sound therapy, all these different healing modalities. And Facebook or Instagram are great places to keep up with my different events because I have different classes and workshops that I do monthly in the community. And I have this retreat coming up in July to northern Nicaragua. It's a nervous system reset retreat. So more information will be coming out on that as well.
That's so great to hear. Those are amazing projects overall. And again, thank you so much for joining us for a flawless talk today.
Thank you.